This is The Ultimate Entrepreneur with Jay Abraham, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome back to The Ultimate Entrepreneur, exclusively at ASBN.com. We are joined once again by one of the most legendary strategic minds in the world of entrepreneurship and small business ownership, Mr. Jay Abraham, business leader, top executive coach, and the founder and CEO of the Abraham Group. This gentleman has worked with some of the top people in business today, including Tony Robbins and so many others. So thank you, Jay Abraham, for joining me on the show today. Very much appreciate it.
I appreciate the chance to contribute.
So, and so do our viewers. They are glued to this series. So thank you so much. There's a lot of consternation out there among small and medium-sized business owners because of some of the headwinds that we see in what might be a slowing economy, or at least the perception of that. So it's got a lot of people concerned, nervous. The uncertainty can be very taxing on a lot of people that are in business today and are responsible for teams and payrolls and inventories and buildings and everything else. So surviving and thriving in a slower economy is something I think that you know a little bit about. And you say downturns can be sometimes the best time to innovate. So I'll let you pick it up right there. What do you mean by that?
Well, so what happens in good times is we're almost all complacent. You got a jet stream that's carrying you. And as long as you do most things adequately, you do pretty well. Mm-hmm. But when bad times happen, the market doesn't totally collapse and eviscerate, but it shrinks. Mm-hmm. But the point is, instead of being just content and complacent to just get a free ride, you decide that you are going to command a bigger piece of two facets of the market. One is the existing market, and the other is the new market. Mm-hmm. Usually what happens in a downturn is that companies cut costs and they cut services and they try to be more efficient. And efficiency, as admirable as it is, can have a debilitating effect on loyalty and response, because people are used to a certain level and now they are chagrined because you are cutting it. If you are adding more value, more services, more attention when everyone else is cutting it, and it could even mean, frankly, even though a lot of people young love AI and they don't want to deal with a human being, people my age don't really like that. I was telling somebody yesterday, I went into McDonald's for the first time in years. And I ordered a bunch of breakfast. I had a bunch of my kids here on a Sunday morning. I said, I'm going to get you a bunch of breakfast. There's no menu. You got to go a push button and you got to go to the QR code. And if you're an older person, that's a turnoff. I will never go back to McDonald's because I don't want to do that. I want to know what I can order. I want to ask them. I might give them some variation. I want it to be a seamless transaction they give me with a smile instead of trying to move me. I went to a big grocery chain to buy stuff for dinner one night, and there was one clerk in one aisle, and then they had 5 people trying to direct everything to do it themselves.
That's
now,
right.
Long term, that's probably cool. But back to your question. So in a downturn, it doesn't totally stop. I have an interest in 2 big organizations. One trains real estate agents. One trains and helps mortgage brokers. Mortgage brokers are on their ass right now. I'm being gross, but they are.
Yes.
And we had a long conversation. I said, look, I can't and you can't change what's happening, but you can change how much of the market you command over your competitors.
Yeah.
If you're getting almost all of the dissatisfied existing market and you're getting a huge portion of the incoming market, you can actually grow in a downward market. Now, secondly, if you're far more strategic, if you're understanding value creation better than your competitors, and value creation is achieved many ways. First is being able to have them understand that you feel, see what they want. And there's many ways to do it, but just for this answer, I just want to be very clinical. The next thing is to know that a lot of companies, when markets get smaller, they dramatically reduce their personnel. They lay off or they outright terminate a lot of people. During COVID, that happened a lot. And we made huge money because I went to my clients at my direction, went on LinkedIn, and we found everybody that was out of work, that because they were high paid people who got cut and they didn't have non-competes, and they literally had the direct relationship with the best clients at their previous company, but they got basically laid off. And now instead of making $350,000, they're getting $3,000 a month on unemployment, and they're struggling. We were able to contact them for many of my clients. First and foremost, we had to win their trust by demonstrating the value and the superiority of our company, product, service, people. But when we did, we were able to get them to make 100 calls to their past clients that had trust in them and say, even though I was with, Jim's company, I want you to basically give serious consideration to switching to Jay's. So that's another way of doing it.
Sure.
Then, you want me to continue?
Yeah, please do. This is good.
We've done this for years and years and years. The next is realize in a downward market, people who would not give like if I came to you and you're riding high and everything's great, and I wanted to do a collaborative relationship where you made your audience available to me on some kind of a performance basis where we shared revenue.
Sure.
You wouldn't give me the time of day. But during COVID, as an example, 90% of the radio stations and TV stations were almost empty on advertising. The only advertising they ran almost was big companies or freebies, because all the retailers weren't advertising because they were closed.
That's right.
We were able to go to thousands of radio stations, thousands of TV stations, and work out performance-based arrangements with clients that had measurable types of offers.
Right.
Leads that you could correlate, or buyers you could isolate and track to those. And we only paid for results because they needed cash better than we did. Always in a downward market, you're not the only one that has a problem, and your problem solved can be the solution to somebody's bigger problem. If I'm being too esoteric, stop me, but I'm just going to go through a few. These are just a few. We have like 50 different ways to do this.
Sure.
But next way is it's a derivative. You figure out who else has the same audience as you, their trust and credibility. And as long as it's an entrepreneurial company and not a big corporation, they are most probably, unless it's an anomaly, they're hurting also.
Yeah.
So they're perfect partners. You can get all kinds of companies who wouldn't give you the time of day when they're riding high to promote you, to partner with you, to sell your products for you, to let their salespeople include it, use your products as an upgrade. There's a million ways you can do this that you could never do it before, and you could be getting millions of dollars of exposure that way. That's another way to do it.
Yeah.
Continue.
So the opportunities during a downtime are tenfold, right? That more than you've ever had before, because now people in all sectors they've got their ears open and they've got their eyes open to new opportunities themselves. That they're open to opportunities they don't even know exist out there, and maybe you as the business owner can enlighten them with whatever opportunity you're going to be presenting to them.
Well, there's another one. I mean, we've done this in downturns all the time. There are companies that have a good reputation, but they're not good marketers. They don't really do a lot to keep building, and then they become very marginalized in a downward economy, and they're tired. And you can take over, not necessarily, you don't need to take over the company. You can take over the assets, the buyers, the IP, the salespeople, and you can help them get out of it. And by consolidating that with you, the economies of scale can make a marginal business that they have very profitable, because incrementally it's just additional revenue. We've done that over and over again. We've also, it's just hilarious, when people are are closed-minded and don't want to sell the business, even if it's marginal. What we have found in a downturn is a lot of entrepreneurs start a business. We did this in the logistics many times. And then they're in the beginning, they're everything. They're the salesperson, they're the manager, they're
Sure.
everything.
Sure.
And then they get some critical mass and they become the owner and they're sort of in the ivory tower. And so then the brokers and the salespeople really have the relationships with the clients. Well, if you bought the business, even if it's not doing well and you wanted to pay cash, you might have to write a check for, I don't know, $1 million, $2 million. But if you buy the salespeople and you give them a deferred bonus that is payable only if they bring their book with them and they're not on a non-compete, you can buy the essence of the business for almost nothing.
Yep.
I can give you more. Is that enough?
That's right. I mean, there's no question. I love those examples. And also, what we learned during COVID, you mentioned that, is that there were so many businesses that restaurants that didn't have much of a takeout business at all, if any, all of a sudden switched, pivoted, and said, "Oh my gosh, today they've got an incredible takeout business in addition to their dining room business because of what they went through during COVID." Right? I mean, we see that time and time again with businesses that didn't realize that they had a business within a business because of the downturn. Right?
And there's a spin on that. If you were one of the early adopters to your restaurant and you developed a significant takeout, delivery, whatever it is, and it's making you a lot of money, but you're a localized business, a linear thinker goes, well, I'm staying alive. A strategic exponential thinker says, let me take the methodology, the IP I've created, let me go to every restaurant in the country that I can make a deal with, and I will teach them how to do it for a share of the business I create.
And it becomes almost a no-brainer in that situation, and also something that you ask yourself as a business owner, why didn't I take these steps sooner, right?
It's interesting. I had a hilarious double entendre yesterday. I have a client that's a mid-size roofing company. They have a great reputation. They've been around 35 years. They do, maybe $20 million, but a nice localized business. And they do no marketing. They came to me for marketing, but they can't get out of their own way. They didn't realize that 30% of their business was coming from past clients. They thought nobody came because people don't need a new roof for 30, 40 years. I proved to them otherwise.
Kind of a one and done.
Yeah, analyzing the source of business and changing their focus, but they're very slow to do anything. And I laughingly said to a roofing company, the famous quote, "The time to repair the roof is when the sun shines."
That's right.
And that's the adage that most of you wait until sky is falling. The time to prepare and hedge yourself for a downturn, and there's a defensive strategy, but I think in terms of offense, how to prepare to capitalize on the infinite array of overlooked, undervalued, addressed opportunity that will be rampant.
That's right. That's right. There's no question about it. You have a term that the overlooked growth levers that don't rely on ad spend. Is that a perfect segue to what we're talking about? Because
well, it's a universal one, whether we're in an up or down. So every business existing has a revenue system. It may be a dysfunctional one, but there is a integrated process, a system, even if it's a implicit one that is being used to drive revenue. And it could be, you've got a way you target an audience. We talked about that in another segment. It could be advertising, could be your location, could be, it doesn't matter. You get a prospect. That prospect needs to be converted to a transaction, a sale. At the point of sale, you may or may not increase the transaction by either upgrading to a higher quality or quantity, or additive by adding other products or service. At the point of that, you may be able or not be able to transform them into an ongoing purchase and you either have other products or services they can buy, or you know how to add other products or services. But each of those factors is a lever, and most people measure would call you. Everyone knows what a KPI, and everyone's got 4, 5, or 6 KPIs. Hopefully, but people don't understand OPIs. OPIs are all the interrelated bridges to the KPIs and to the end result, which is bottom line profitability, not revenue, but profitability that you have control of. Most people don't realize we have control of a lot more facets of the performance of our business than we exercise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. And sometimes they never learn. Sometimes business owners never learn that or explore that, and it becomes too late, right?
Well, what I've found, and it's really sad, is the majority of people, knowingly or unknowingly, are wedded to tradition. And tradition has many definitions, but my definition is they've gotten into business. So stop. Half of the small, medium, not the driving larger ones, but small, medium entrepreneurs got into business for many reasons other than to maximize the value or the profitability. They got into it, very many of them, just to escape being managed by anybody. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Some of them got into it as a result of a career or personal crisis. In real estate, if you look at most of them, I'm not demeaning them, it's just clinical, a huge portion of real estate agents, I don't know if it's still this way, but it used to be that they got into it. It wasn't the career of choice. It was the reactive career when they got laid off, they got terminated, they had an addiction, and they got a divorce, and it was the first choice. But most of the smaller entrepreneurs aren't trained in business growth. They're not trained in marketing. And if you look, I used to tell this story when we had a lot of bookstores. If you'd walk into a bookstore, B. Dalton, whatever it's going to be, you would see huge rows of books on psychology, relationship, sexuality. You'd see huge rows on skills and hobbies and sports. And then you'd go and there'd be this teeny tiny area on business and sales training, marketing management.
Right.
And the statistics that I saw years ago about how few small, medium entrepreneurs even tried to learn anything, and they don't see the correlation of expertise to higher performance.
That's right.
And so they don't go into business to make that business the most successful, the most profitable, the most preeminent. They go into it really to escape, a multitude of different external factors that have nothing to do with money making. Well, They do. They're not looking to be they don't want to be the preeminent shoe store or the preeminent restaurant. I mean, they want to be successful, but if you wanted to be the preeminent restaurant, you wouldn't serve crappy rolls. You wouldn't have a slow response rate. I have clients that have analyzed every denominator, including engagement, and we've measured the impact that improving it can make. And there's like 30 different ways to improve the result.
That's right.
We've seen it change the menu. It can double the amount of people that purchase a certain high profit item.
Sure.
Most small, medium business people don't even want to hear it. It's too much burden. They would just rather be content what they're getting and they don't understand the erosion. If their business stays about the same between the time value of money and the trend lines.
You're going backwards.
Yeah. But that's a longer discussion.
There's some good news in that, though, in the sense that if those small business owners and medium-sized business owners are content and they're happy doing what they're doing and they're your competitors, there's a huge opportunity there. Because if you're the one that is focusing on getting better and really growing your business and really taking a very strategic approach towards doing that, you're against these individuals that you're talking about out there that go, well, I open the door every day and we see what comes in, and whatever comes in, and that's the way it is. And without any, long-term goals, short-term goals, strategic planning. So if that's your competition out there, it can really be good for to have that as competition to grow your business.
Yeah, I've said long term that even in what seems like a brutally, ruthlessly competitive market, you really don't have a lot of strategic competition. You just have generic competition.
Hmm.
And when you understand how to outthink, out strategize, out advertise, out market, out value create, out I'm going to think of a word that means getting a lot more yield out of what you're doing.
Hmm.
You really don't have a lot of competition, but the biggest competitor you have is getting outside of this.
Yeah, yeah, no question about it. That's right. That's right. My father used to say, "You can be your own worst enemy," and that's so true, isn't it? And especially as entrepreneurs, that we have a tendency to second guess ourselves anyway, right? And that can compound over time, and you do become your own worst enemy. To your point, it's all up here, you know.
Yeah. I've been looking at the two quotes. We've seen the enemy and it is us. And the other one is, it's yours to lose.
That's right. That's
They're
right.
both profound in their meaning.
Yeah, yeah, no question about it. Jay Abraham, business leader, top executive coach, and now you see why. We appreciate all the time that you give us here at The Ultimate Entrepreneur with Jay Abraham. These segments have been phenomenal, the most watched clearly on our ASBN network, so I appreciate all the time you give us, not just for here at the station, but also for all of the thousands of entrepreneurs and small business owners that watch you each week. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I hope it added value.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching The Ultimate Entrepreneur with Jay Abraham, exclusively on ASBN.com.